Okay, okay. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, students. Good evening, fellow colleagues. It really is my pleasure to be with you this evening. And our hope and expectation, okay, I think we got through with that now. Our hope and expectation is that you will benefit from this time that we're going to spend this evening in this session entitled Help, I Am Stressed. And the truth of the matter is, it's not just the students that are stressed, but the lecturers have been stressed as well, because this has been a new environment for us all, and we're just trying to work through it. In fact, I remember at an FST management meeting, I heard at the end of it, one of my colleagues say, "Prof," that's Prof. Taylor she was speaking to, "I'm drowning." And, those were my exact sentiments and feelings. But I was just so glad that somebody else had the courage to say, "Boy, life is rough," And so the truth is that we want this environment to be one in which you can recognize that, yes, there are challenges, yes, there are issues, but let us see how best we can work through them. And actually, at the end of the semester, and moving into January, be able to say, wow, we made it through. And as a result of that, there's a greater strength that you would have acquired. All right. So those are my introductory remarks, so to speak. But I do want to acknowledge all the persons who are on the platform this evening, and to cause to recognize that we are here to help you. Okay. Now, I know that we've had challenges, and I know it's been a challenging on many fronts, but our job is to be a blessing to you, and to help you to succeed in whatever dreams and goals it is that you want to accomplish. All right. Just assuring you, there's no joy that we get. Absolutely no joy we get from giving you a grade that you deserve, that you may not like, but we don't get joy from putting zeros on a paper or anything like that. We want to know that you are succeeding in what it is that you set out to do here at the University of the West Indies Mona campus. That was your plan. Your plan was to succeed, and we want to help you to do exactly that. And so I just want to in general, acknowledge our undergraduate reps and the persons who we call the student success coaches. So undergraduate reps are Tanya Carr, Frederick Boyd, Daniel Focum, Sam McDaniel, Gail Ford, Michael Coley, Nadale Downer Riley, Thomas Steman, Aikelin Amarakoon, Ruby Lindo, Michael Byrne, Louis Ray Harris, and Paul Gaynor. And of course, these are all PhDs. And in terms of the persons who have agreed to help and facilitate students, and we call them student success coaches, Dr. Boyd, again, Dr. Claudine Allen, Dr. Joyanne Marks, Dr. Nikisha Stevenson, Dr. Inka Brown, and Dr. Alexa Harvey. And we are really, truly grateful to you all, and all of the other persons who are going to be coming onto the platform. The students, we acknowledge Ms. Mullings, and I also see online Kiara Shannon, and Tashik is somewhere, or she'll be somewhere around. Oh yes, there she is, Tashik Gibson, who is going to be actually helping with the session that's going to be conducted by Mrs. Williams Brown. So one of the things that I want to mention, yes, we want to see you succeed, and yes, we have we have commendation lists that we issue so that students know that we want to see you make progress, and we are happy when you make progress, and we commend you when you make progress. And in fact, just for this, I asked the dean if he would facilitate a little session, a little lunch with students. So at the end of this semester, the students who have the top five students with the top GPAs in the faculty, you will have the opportunity to have an upfront chit chat and lunch with the dean, which he has agreed to do. So The part of the encouragement is make it happen, be the best that you can. There's always room at the top. All right. So the person speaking in terms of the health center professionals, as I said before, is Mrs. Sharon Williams Brown. And I trust that her audio is now working and ready to roll. And as I said, she's being assisted by Tashik Gibson, who is actually here in our Faculty of Science and Technology. So right now, I'm just going to hand over. She's been at the Mrs. Sharon Williams Brown. How long have you been at the health center? A long time. And we really appreciate how you care for students. And we trust that what it is that you have to share with the students will be of benefit to them. I'm handing over to Mrs. Sharon Williams Brown.
Hello, Dr. Gallimore. Are you hearing me this time?
Yes.
Okay. I know you're probably barely seeing me because I've had to relocate and the lighting is horrible, which is why we were in the other room, but I don't think I can do very much with this lighting right now. So sorry about that part of it, but let's see what we can do otherwise. Okay, just going to try to relocate the device a little bit, and that might help me if it, okay. That might work a little better. Okay, so thanks. Okay, we're going to be talking about dealing with stress, and I'm going to screen share. Hopefully that will, okay. So when you're trying to screen share, okay, you should have it starting at the beginning and not at the end. But things are going topsy-turvy. Right, okay, there we are. I'm not even going to press slideshow because the way things are on a Murphy's Law day, it will fall apart, right? I see somebody smiling. They understand the Murphy's Law day principle fully. Okay, so I've been asked to talk about managing stress, and Tashik Gibson, one of our peer support providers, as you heard, is going to do the last part of this session because we know stress comes from many sources, but right now for students, exams are around the corner, and online exams at UWI, especially for our first years, are new. So Tashik will speak at the end specifically to those issues. But I saw Dr. Gallimore give it the interesting title of Keeping It Together When Everything Seems to be Falling Apart. I liked the title, and so we'll talk about that and see what suggestions. I've really got 6 tips around this. And so here goes the first one. Know that it is okay to feel how you are feeling. It's interesting that when we get anxious about being anxious. And then the focus moves from I'm anxious about not understanding this to I'm just anxious and I don't know what to do and I'm overwhelmed and life is horrible. But know that it's okay to feel anxious sometimes, to feel depressed sometimes. Once we acknowledge the feelings, actually, it can begin to help us in terms of how to cope. So if I'm feeling anxious, what can I do? Some of that can be as simple as I'm going to take a run around my yard. I'm going to work off some physical energy. Some people, their house gets very clean when they're feeling anxious because they work off that anxiety energy in house cleanings. I'm going to do something because I know what the feeling is, I acknowledge it, and then I try and do something about it, which is part of tip 1. Sure, you've all heard the Serenity Prayer. I should probably have asked somebody to say it, but I jumped the gun and went and put it up. But you know the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I'll often say to people that if I'm invited to give a stress management presentation and I have 1 minute, I have the perfect 1 minute stress management presentation in the Serenity Prayer. Because it really is the 3 things. There's some things that we cannot change. So this might not be very relevant to you guys, but when I was young, I wanted to work in the airline industry, specifically being an air hostess. The matter of travel caught my eye. However, I had a slight problem. I have not yet reached 5 foot in height, and there is a height requirement for people who work on the airlines. You've got to be able to reach into the top bins. So no matter how I wanted to be an air hostess, it just was not going to happen. I could have written petitions till the cows come home. They were not going to change that requirement. So I had to accept that and look elsewhere. And being a psychologist probably is a good second choice, right? Anyway, so much of my life story. Then it says, courage to change the things I can. A lot of people end up in problems, even again, going back to the issue of preparing for exams. Some people, because of the feeling of being anxious and overwhelmed, decide that they can't bother to study and they give up, the week before the exam. They jettison half of their subjects. When in actual fact, had they organized their time properly, even at that late stage, they might have been able to pass one of the two they didn't bother to go to. So courage to change the things I can. And then finally, wisdom to know the difference. And that's a critical thing. Where do we put the energy? Because if we're putting our energy into trying to change things that cannot be changed, we are just frustrating ourselves, becoming more overwhelmed, becoming more stressed. However, if we're putting our energy into things that are changeable, sometimes we're not approaching it in the best way, but we may be able to get help to do it better. And therefore, in the end, the results may go our way. So that's tip number one. Tip number two says, practice staying in the present moment. You're going to say this lady really mad. Because if I stay in the present moment, what happened to what's supposed to happen tomorrow and the day after? But hear me out. Work with me on this a little bit, okay? Because what we're talking about here is the whole matter of when you have something to do, give it your full attention rather than worrying about what is going to be happening later on. So if you're there saying, for example, I'll never get this assignment in on time, it's due on Monday, and I should have done this from last week, and why did I delay? And I think, maybe I could call my friend, but then they didn't understand it any better than I did. You have spent probably 5 minutes to half an hour just mourning about the, horrible lecturers who do this to you and everything else, and you haven't done one piece of work in the 30 minutes. So we're going, if you had stayed in the present moment, if you had addressed what do I have to do, you might have had, 2 equations sorted out, a paragraph written, something done. So this is the importance when we say practice staying in the present moment. There's a quote somewhere about sufficient unto the days the evil thereof. Hopefully the days aren't going to be evil, but it's what comes later on that we have no control over. It does not do us any good to be sitting and ruminating about that now when we could be doing something which helps us in the present and prepares us for the future. Just another thing here. Sometimes to help us be able to center and be able to focus on what we are needing to do in the moment, one of the things that's useful is to be able to really just clear our minds of the other things that are bothering us, clear our minds of the things that are creating a problem, and then focus. And that's where guided imagery exercises can be useful. They can help us to relax, they can help us to refocus. And so just make a note of the fact that we have a container, the University Counseling Service, on our VLE, and it's called U8CCS 102. There's a one-time case-sensitive password, student with a capital S at UWI, capital UWI. Once you put that in, you're going to be able to access our container, and you look for the guided imagery exercise and work with that. Tip number 3, is what we call using cognitive behavioral skills. So what do I mean by that? I've gone and used psychologies on people in science and tech, but science and tech people know lots of things. So you probably know about that too. But when we're talking about using cognitive behavioral skills, we're talking about the matter that how we think and what we do affects our emotions. And when we feel stressed, and stress, of course, is inevitable when you're a student, because stress comes with change, and a student's life is always changing from semester to semester, if no other change. But especially for first years, the change of coming from high school to UE, big step up. So you're going to be having stress, you're going to be having feelings, and many of those feelings are uncomfortable feelings. But often, if we change the perspective we have, if we look at things differently, we are able to affect our mood. We're able to feel differently. And that allows us to go on. And because our thinking and feeling has changed, our behavior can change. Also, interestingly, if we change our thinking and our behavior, then again, our feelings can change. So, using cognitive behavioral skills, I'm going to make a couple of suggestions in the next slide because it points out how the way we think can lead to depression and anxiety. So, one of the things that we will do very often is go, the worst disaster will strike no matter what. It's bound to be awful. I talked about Murphy's Law in the beginning because I know that law well. You know, whatever will go wrong will go wrong. So, once you have that mindset, however, it means that you're not looking for a solution. An interesting example was just coming on a while ago. I log on to the Zoom platform, as I always do. I'm ready to speak, and there is no audio coming from me to this audience. And I'm sitting there going, oh Lord, pressing every button I know, trying to figure out what to do. And then Dr. Singh Wilmot says, what about trying another device? Bingo, that worked. But probably that didn't occur to me, although the phone was sitting there, because I had gone into that, oh help, what's going to happen, getting anxious mentality. So if we're thinking, the worst thing is going to happen, expecting disaster, what in psychology we sometimes call a self-fulfilling prophecy, then we find that that is going to affect how we feel, it's going to affect how we behave, it's going to affect our productivity. Another trap that people have is, I should be able to manage everything. My perfectionistic friends out there, right? Everything. I should be able to do it. I should be able to do it the best. I should be able to do it without any help. If people in my group, group work is the bane of every student almost. If people in my group are not cooperating, I should be able to make them cooperate. And we go and we have this feeling that I really should be able to manage everything perfectly all the time. That attitude, trust me, people, creates super stress because that's just not true. We do not live in a perfect world, and that includes us. We are not perfect. There are times we're going to make mistakes. There are times when we will forget something. And definitely, there are times when other people are going to do something and mess us up, okay? Because they have not delivered. We did our part of the group project, and now we're sitting up at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to put together something that they should have sent to us from yesterday. We cannot make other people do things that they are not choosing to. And then our third trap is, I can't do what I'm used to, so nothing is worth doing. All right, if it isn't going to work out the way I want them, throw my hands up and don't bother with anything at all. The famous Thomas Edison story of how many trials there were before he got, I think it was a light bulb to finally light. If we give up too early, if we can't bother with things, then there's so many successes lying ahead of us that we will not experience because we've given up too early. So there are many things that are worthwhile. Students will come to me and sometimes say, I'm failing a course, this is awful, This should not be happening to me. And I do a really weird thing. I say to them, okay, so suppose you fail. Suppose you fail everything this semester. And suppose you ask you to leave campus. Worst possible thing you could ever imagine. I say, okay, just let that imagine that for 30 seconds. And then tell me something. You've gone home, you've told, let's say, your mother who loves you dearly, because you were maybe her only child and you're the pride and joy of her life, and you tell her you failed UE. Just answer me one question. She going to throw you out of the house? And they all look at me like I'm a mad woman. And that's okay, it doesn't matter. And I say, no, Mrs. Williams Brown, she wouldn't do that. I go, okay, you got a place to sleep, you got a place to eat, your mother still love you, you still have something going for you. It's gonna be wheel and come again time. So even if things aren't going your way, then there's still some things that are going your way. There is a person who loves you. There's your ability to sing, to speak, to dance, to do whatever. So something can work out. Something will work out. So how do you cope with these thinking traps? So pay attention on a regular basis. Every day this suggests, do you recognize that you're falling into the trap? Because you can't help yourself unless you recognize that you're having the problem. So do you recognize yourself in the trap? And then notice how the thoughts make you feel. Usually it's a negative feeling. If for some reason those thoughts are making you feel positive, because there are people who will fight back and they're energized by the idea that something could go wrong. So I'm energized by that thought. But if you're one of those who gets overwhelmed and down, then you need to work to change your perspective, challenge your thoughts. Okay, so you go to, well, everybody is struggling in some way. So it's okay if I struggle. I don't have to be perfect to be loved, to be valued. Things like that are things that can help you. Sometimes facing the worst, as I said a while ago, and realizing that there will still be things that you have. And then practice healthy ways to relax. And for some of you who meditate, read something inspirational, devotional, do that every day. Cultivate good habits, which allow you to care for yourself and to provide a space where you can think positively. And then reach out for help if needed. And we put a number there. Later on in the presentation, we'll have some other numbers. But you probably should have all heard by now about UE Helps, which is our service that's on every day into the night. I tell people, unfortunately, it's manned by only one person, so that person needs to sleep, etc. So you are going to get an answer same day, within 24 hours, but not necessarily an immediate response to your text. But that's WhatsApp enabled, and it's 876-294-0042. And as I said, we'll come back to that number in a little while. Build a rewarding life. So what you want to be sure is, what is it that I enjoy doing? What are the things that make me feel good? And have I included them in my life on a regular basis? So that for some of us, one of the things that we really enjoy is running. But exams coming up, and most students I know cut out the exercise. I'm going, not a good idea, especially if you enjoy it. What you need to be doing is to be cutting it down, maybe in terms of if you used to run for an hour, maybe you just do it half hour. If you used to run every day, you do it, every other day. But the idea of making sure that the things which are positive remain part of your life. So some exercise regularly, get some fresh air. In this COVID time, we are all too confined to the house or the room. And getting fresh air, and I should probably add when I do this again, and sunlight. Sunlight is actually good for us. It is therapeutic. And of course, the biologists will tell you about vitamin D, I think, and all these sorts of things. So get some fresh air, get some sunlight, make it a habit to go outside. in the sunlight. Now, I know you all sleep till 11 o'clock if you can arrange your classes that way, but 5 o'clock, go outside, take a stretch, get some fresh air, get some sunlight. Yoga is also something which many people find relaxing and restorative because, especially for those who might not be into serious exercise, the gentle stretching that does can be helpful. And then another suggestion is to listen to music. And I've read somewhere that music actually stimulates the same part of the brain that allows us to think things through, to problem solve, etc. So you want to be able to listen to music, which can be helpful. So I guess when your parents tell you that, turn off the music and do your schoolwork, you might have a little bit of an argument for keeping it on, but you make sure that you are in actual fact doing the work, not just listening to the music. Maintain adequate nutrition. Sometimes a challenge when your budget is low, but the good old cornmeal porridge, using that tin mackerel, you're getting some good nutrition at a low cost. Try to make sure that at least twice a day you've eaten something reasonably healthy. So you're not living just on chips and sweet drinks. Again, if you're drinking something, can you manage to drink something, whether it's milky, soya, whatever it might be, but can you have something which has protein and that sort of thing, not just the sugar? Maintaining a routine. So we encourage people to get up and go to bed at roughly the same time. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we come to the sleep hygiene. But if you are a morning person, get up early and do your studying in the morning. If, like me, you're a night owl, then you might find that you are more productive after 10 p.m. So you organize your day, so you're putting in 2 or 3 hours worth of work between 10 and 1. However, you have to do that. We talk about taking breaks. A lot of you feel that if you're going to be studying, you must be going for 3 or 4 hours straight. Not necessarily. If you're in flow, that can be helpful. I don't mean flow as in the phone company. I mean the concept of flow, where things are just flowing as you start writing and working. But otherwise, you want to get up and stretch. And those of us who are doing online stuff, we often are neglecting this to our peril and the peril of our backs. We need to get up. We need to walk around for 2 minutes, get some water, hydrating. Staying hydrated is important. And these things, although they're physical, affect our mental health. And then practice good sleep hygiene. I know you are students. I know you do not go to bed before midnight or before 3 or even later. But the idea is we still need somewhere between 5 and 6 minimum, but preferably looking more like 6 and 7 hours sleep most nights. Optimal really is the good old-fashioned 8 hours. But when you push, that's not going to happen. You need, however, to make sure you're getting what's your minimum. You are meeting that on a regular basis, and that you are resting even on the nights when you feel that you can't sleep. All right, tip number 5. I've just got 2 more to go, and then I'm handing over to Tashik. Tip number 5 is about connecting with others. It is important that we have support. So keep in touch with our friends. Again, COVID is tending to keep us isolated, but do the WhatsApp video calls so you see each other. Make an arrangement so you get together on a group chat once a week with your besties. Do something which allows you to be in touch with people. Those of you who are into running, you might decide that you're running with one other person. Might not be the big group of you getting together, but find a way to connect with others, because the support of others is really important if we are to be mentally healthy. And then finally, seek help when needed. I want to really, again, emphasize how important it is after we've tried our best to manage something and it's not working well to talk to somebody. That somebody can be your parents, your best friend, can be a lecturer, can be your academic advisor, can be the chaplains, it can also be the counselors at the health center. And so here's some info in terms of contacting us. I've already mentioned UE Helps. So if it's, 10 o'clock at night, our offices are closed, we're not doing that. But UE Helps person may well be up at 10 and able to answer you. And if not, you'll get an answer early in the morning, probably even before we're open. So you can WhatsApp text, WhatsApp call, and as I said, you'll get an answer, or the counselor with that phone will get back to you. Call us at the University Counseling Service, and we're doing our sessions by telehealth. And so the number for that is 876-970-1992. You call that number, and our admin staff will set up an appointment for you with one of the counselors. And a reminder that counseling is confidential and it's provided by professional counselors. We are all trained to a minimum of a master's level. So it's important that you do ask for help when you need it. Now, one other thing that we have done through the counseling service is to train students to help other students. And so we have our peer support providers in different faculties, different halls, and we train them to help with basic everyday issues, to be a good listening ear, to help with basic problem solving, and to know enough about UE that they can point you in the right direction if you need further help. And so I'm really happy to have one of our PSPs, as we call them for short, in on this call. She is Miss Tashik Gibson. And so Tashik, you ready for me to do the handover? I can continue to scroll for you if you want, however.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you, Tashik.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Mrs. Williams-Brown. Just want to say good evening to everyone on the panel, and also a special good evening to all the students who I know are joining us on YouTube. I know that personally, I know that this is a busy time. We have assignments to do, and we also have exams to prepare for, of course, which just so happens to be the subject of my presentation for tonight. It's taking the stress out of online exams. So normally when I hear exams, I'm like, oh boy, I take a deep breath and I'm like, okay, exams. And I know I'm not alone in feeling this way, but the truth is, exams really and truly are a part of our lives as students, and really and truly, we can't get away from it. So I'm just here to provide you with three different sets of tips that can help you. So first, we're going to go through the early preparation tips, then general preparation tips, and because it's online school, online exams, I'm going to give you some tech tips. So before I really go into it, I just want to say that for exams, think about it. This is not the first time you're going to do exams. If you're first year, it will be your first set of UE exams. I'm pretty sure it's not your first exams. You're right here. I did GSAT. I think most of us did GSAT. And you remember that stress, how you felt. Probably felt like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And it's going to be so hard. It's going to be so terrible. But you made it through that. Isn't that true? You did CSEC. CSEC, many different exams. You probably experienced the same anxiety and the same stress, but you made it through it. Some of us would have done CAPE, and probably others would have done other exams. But the thing is, you have done so many exams, so your history is there to show you that you have the capability. You can get through the exam periods. And even though it's online exams, it's going to be a bit different, but at its core, it's still exams. So let me just take you through a few of the early preparation tips. So you want to take advantage of your office hours with your lecturers. You want to make sure that you are up to date with your information, because the truth is you're doing exams, so you will need to know the content, which means that you would have needed to be attending all of your lectures. Unfortunately for us, this is an advantage of online school. Maybe you didn't go to the lectures, but the recordings are there. Rewatch them if you weren't actually there. And for the tutorials, please do yourselves a favor. Do your tutorial before you go to class. It's really hard. And even if it is that you didn't do the tutorials before, you still have enough time to actually go through and do the tutorials. Don't just listen to the tutorial answers. Truth is, that doesn't really help you that much. You have to go through the process of studying, working through it, and getting them done yourself, right? So ensure that you're doing that. And I know it's a bit late now and it's close to exam, but the truth is we still have a bit of time. May not be much. For some persons, it's 1 week. But the truth is you can do a bit with 1 week. My one of my favorite quotes is by Robert Collier. It says, success is the sum of small efforts multiplied day in, day out. So if you want to experience success in your exams, you need to be preparing from now. You need to be putting in the work now. Don't you want to be enjoying a Christmas break when you're sipping on your sorrel and you're eating a cake? You don't want to stop your second and have to hurt your head and say, oh gosh, when I have to pass the exam day? No, 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 no. That's not a nice feeling. Put in the work now. Spend those hours that you need. So when you're sipping your sorrel and you know you're talking to your friends and all that, you can relax and be confident that you put in the work and you did your best. And then another point of connecting, you want to be with your friends. So even if it is that you can't see them, you know the situation. I won't say it. You do know. You can Zoom with them. What I do is that I have like a Zoom call, and we don't really say anything on the call. We're just there studying, and they can see my face. Because sometimes you want that companionship to know that hey, I'm not the only person going through this. There are other persons going through this, and collectively we can do this. So you want to be connecting. Do your Zoom studies together. And if it is that the person does the same course that you do, speak about it, talk about it. Because sometimes you think you know, but then when you start to talk, you realize, oh my gosh, I really don't know so much. So try to do that. Connect with your friends. And just in terms of the actual exam, when you're preparing to do it, it's online school. You know that you want to make sure that your devices are ready. You need to check the devices that you're going to use. Are you going to use your phone? Are you going to use your laptop? Make sure that you are familiar with it. It can't be that on the morning of the exam, you're trying to say, oh, how am I going to upload? You need to work out what is the fastest way to upload. You're going to be scanning, make sure that you're familiar with your scanning app. Don't just have one app. If possible, have two so that you can have a backup. And if you use Wi-Fi, good. But don't just stick to the Wi-Fi. Have some backup data. So on your phone, get Tilt to Flow credit, get a digital credit. If you have 2 chip, make sure that you have as much backup as possible. Because we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success, right? And I know that you're going to be burning the midnight oil, as you should, but you still need to be getting some rest. And especially the night before your exam, ensure that you get some sleep. Because the truth is, you might know the stuff, but because you are so tired, you're not going to remember it. And that is so awful. I don't know if it has happened to you, but then after the exam, you come up with the answer and you're like, what? It might be a case that maybe your brain cells were just tired, or maybe they were hungry. So you need to be feeding yourself well and making sure that you get adequate rest. All right, moving on to my next tip. So during the exams, again, treat it like it's a real exam. Online exam, still a real exam. So you want to have that little location in your house. I know that you may not have the perfect situation, the perfect circumstances, and it's not going to be 100% quiet as if you were in the tents. But I don't know, for the persons who were there last year, at least they won't have the flights. They might be at home and all that. So no shade, but you won't have that. So wherever you're going, make sure that it is quiet. Speak to your family and ask them, listen, I'm doing an exam. Please be quiet, man. You can't come with the noise and all that. To ensure that they know when you're going to do your exams. And you need to know when your exams are too. Because honestly, I've heard of persons who have missed their exams because they don't remember. So write it on a little piece of paper, paste it on your wall, take a screenshot of it, put it on your phone screen. You can't miss your exam because you can't go to the lecturer and say, hey, I missed my exam because I didn't remember the time. To be fair, that's not a good excuse. So make sure that you know when your exams are. So be responsible. And on the next point of being responsible, we're coming to the big thing. Be a person of integrity. You're doing online exams. and no one is there to watch you, but you're the person who is watching yourself. You want to know that the paper that you are presenting is one that you can be confident in, and you say that I did this on my own. I did not cheat. This is what I present. You need to be a good representation of yourself. And the truth is, you don't need to cheat. If you prepare adequately, you can still do a good job. So don't waste your time planning out ways in which to, cheat or go around the system. Spend your time planning ways of studying so that when you get there, you are fully prepared for it. And believe in yourself. You have to back yourselves and think that you can do this, you know? Marcus Garvey, if you don't have confidence, you're twice defeated in the race of life. So just prepare as best as you can and believe in yourself when you go into that exam. And sometimes when you see a question, I know that the time is short, but sometimes you might just have to, pause for a second, take a deep breath, and remember that I can do this. And again, feeling bad in an exam or ultimately failing an exam, this is not the end of your world. You're more than just one exam. One exam does not define who you are. So don't put too much of an importance on that exam. Remember that you are a great person. You are within the faculty of greatness. You are destined for greatness, and you can display that greatness on your exam based on the preparation that you do. So my last words, make sure that you get your devices ready, guys. Charge up everything. Don't be the case where you're in the middle of your exam and your laptop lock up. No, man. No, man. Be more responsible than that. Study for your exams. Exam papers. I didn't say this. You need to do your fast papers. Ensure that you're doing your fast papers. Speaking to myself here as well. Do your tutorials. Rewatch the lectures. Speak with your friends. And just remember that you can do this. And what I keep telling myself, exam is a bridge between myself and a happy Christmas. So you want a happy Christmas. So ensure that the exams go well. So take care of yourself, eat some good food, prepare as best as you can. Remember that you are destined for greatness. And you know what? Take the exams. Don't take it too seriously and just do the best that you can. So thank you for listening. And I hand over to Dr. Gallimore right now.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Williams Brown and Tashik. We really, really appreciated all of the insights that you provided for all of us, as a matter of fact. The truth is, the best, do your best. That is all that's required and asked of you, to do your absolute best. All right, I'm going to turn over to Danielle now, who will be checking in the chat if there are any persons who have any questions for the presenters. Danielle?
Sure. So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. If you have any questions, feel free to send them in the chat right now, and I'll field them. But in the meantime, we want to express our gratitude to Ms. Brown or Dr. Brown, and of course, Tashik Gibson, for facilitating the session a while ago, which was very informative, and I'm sure we all learned a lot. So feel free to send any questions, comments, or anything in the chat. I'll highlight them and bring forward.
Okay. Okay, I think I can't see too well, but I think I'd seen someone in the chat at some point in time saying it's easier said than done. I'm not even sure exactly at what point in the presentation that person was making that comment. Were you able to, Mrs. Brown, Williams Brown, were you able to, I'm not sure what point in the presentation that was.
No, I didn't actually see that. So I'm not sure what point in the presentation, but I suspect there's several points when people would have had that feeling. Easier said than done. Yes, that's true. But I loved what Tashik said. I don't have her quote right, but it was that thing about, the sum of small things. So every day you're doing something. So I've heard it said that it takes at least 30 days to start a new habit. 30 days of doing the same thing every day. So I've gotten in the habit recently when I do my counseling sessions of saying to people at the end of the session, all right, talk about a whole heap of things. What's the one thing you're willing to work on? Give me one thing out of everything we say that you think you're willing to work on, and now go and work on that piece. You can do the others if you want to, but work on that little piece till we talk again. So it's about identifying, because it feels too overwhelming if you're trying to do everything, but chunking really helps. Take that one chunk, that one small chunk, work on it till it becomes part of what you do, part of who you are, then pick up the second piece.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. I see one more question here. So what happens when you feel to just up in a ball and do nothing?
Okay, those feelings come to us. For me, they come on a rainy day when I want to curl up in my ball, stay in my bed, and do nothing for true. So the other day when it rained plenty, I had the feelings a lot. Depends on what's triggering that feeling. Okay, so if you just had a quarrel with your significant other, then you're probably going to want to curl up in the bed and do nothing except probably keep your phone and send some bad messages to them, whatever. But the whole idea is, if you can identify the trigger, if you know it's short lived, then that's part of feeling the feelings too. However, if this is persistent, that's a different story. So if you are feeling that way over several days, okay, so this is not just a half an hour or a hour or two, but you're feeling this way, and especially if you cannot identify what's triggered it, that is one of those signs that you need to reach out for help. That's when you WhatsApp you help, or you call and make an appointment to talk to us, or you find your person in the family, whoever, your pastor, the chaplains on campus, find somebody if that feeling is persistent, especially if it's accompanied by not wanting to bathe and not wanting to eat, having problems sleeping, and more so if there are suicidal feelings that are coming during that time. Because sometimes that feeling is a feeling of depression beginning to set in.
Okay, thank you. I think those are the two questions. So we'll get those for now. I'm not anything else in the chat. Maybe they'll come as the session is.
Okay.
Thank you, Danielle. One of the things you said, Mrs. Williams Brown, is for the importance of sleep. But one of the things that I learned when I came on this campus was the saying that sleep is a concept. You know, you have any comments on that?
Yes, that is a myth that we at the health center try to dispel. Apparently not very successfully, because it's still out there. Okay. Sleep is much more than a concept. Sleep is when our body and our mind regenerates. That's scientific, guys. That's not just the counselors out there saying that. They have the science. Go talk to the people in life sciences, because somebody somewhere has done the research.
Right.
And so when you're shortchanging yourself of sleep regularly, so it really is not too problematic when you're 19, 20 and you pull an all-nighter once in a while. We don't have an issue with that. But when you're pulling all-nighters 2 nights in a row and then going into an exam, you seriously shortchanged yourself, because you cannot think clearly. Your brain, and then you make it worse because you are using all the boom and energy drinks to stay up. The caffeine for stimulation can backfire badly in an exam, because some of us get anxious with too much caffeine. And we've had students brought to the health center because they pulled the all-nighters, stoked up on the caffeine high drinks, and just disintegrated in the exam. Right? Now, doing it online, we ain't even going to be able to get you to the health center so that we can say, yes, you really couldn't do it because you were so tanked up on the caffeine, right? So do yourself a favor, get some rest, especially the night before. And in general, try to get minimum 5 hours sleep most nights. And when you can, quite a bit more.
Okay, thanks. Well, I know in this season, it won't be quite a bit more than the 4 or 5 hours for sure, because that's just.
But if Dr. Gather, what the research also says is that when we then go and sleep it out for the first holidays, it really does repair the damage that the lack of sleep did earlier on. That's what the research is saying. So we need to be aware of the fact we don't really make up for lost sleep in a significant way. which is why we don't want to do the all-nighters too often. Back to you.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I remember the days when I used to do all-nighters. I used to live on Mercy called Hall, you know, and I used to
Mine all too.
awesome. Yeah, and I used to stay in the study room and study, but half the time I was not studying, I was sleeping. You know?
Thank you. Exactly. Even though it's night, people fall over the work too. May as well go to bed. I remember a principal who used to do seminars with the students about exams. And I remember him making that point about how your productivity just goes down after a certain number of hours around the book.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Awesome, awesome. Alrighty, so again, I just want to thank you so much for your contribution today. I know that there are some students, lots who are not on, but they'll have the benefits of the recording, go back to be able to say, okay, this was something that was said, and this is a piece of advice that I should take for myself. But you made a very good point in terms of what is this one thing that you're going to take away and going to actually action, because it's all well and good to have a lot of things that you hear that you should be doing, but then at the end of the day, you know, you end up doing nothing out of frustration that, boy, you can't get everything right, you know? So thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it so very much.
You're very welcome. I'm going to have to exit in about 5 minutes time, 5 or 10 minutes time. So when you see me disappear, please know that it's not that I don't enjoy the company, but I need to go on to another meeting a little later on. Okay.
Indeed. The Zoom world. The Zoom world. All right. Thank you so much. Awesome. Just want to note that there is a video entitled "To Transfer or Not to Transfer," and there's some study techniques that were noted in that video, and it's minute 28.09 to 35.48. Okay, the person who was speaking is Dr. Tarif Montague. He used to be a student in the Faculty of Science and Technology. He then transferred to the Faculty of Medical Sciences, and he graduated top of his class. And so the pieces of advice that he would give on to us, I would recommend that you just have a look. Okay, so that's to transfer or not to transfer, that's the question. And it's between minutes 28 and call it 36. All right, I just want to mention that. So I'm going to hand over to the FST rep who is going to be doing some interactive games at this point in time. I'm handing over. Is it Carol?
Yes, it's me.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, I'm not able to share screen, so can I have access to do so, please?
I think Theodore will help you with that, Mr. Winter.
Alrighty.
Okay.
My apologies for the glitch. It was up and I don't know where it gone. So I'm just trying to find it back. Am I glitching on anyone's screen? You guys see me clearly? Glitching.
You okay now, Carol?
Yes, it's loading now. My internet is giving problems, so.
Story of all our lives.
One that comes up is really good.
Okay. You see what Theodore is saying? That if maybe if you stop sharing your video, it might help.
Okay, all right, let me stop and then go again.
Okay. All right. In the meanwhile, just want to remind us of a couple of things. So on the FST website, once you go to resources, the drop-down menu from that is FST Experience. And we encourage you to go on that site. It says FST Experience, and it speaks about the holistic development program. It speaks about first gen. And then it also has a section on the bottom that you can link with a student success coach. Okay, so there's a photo that says support. You can click on that. And from that, you can sign up to actually speak to someone, because we know that there are going to be times when you're going to need to actually have a conversation, a one-on-one conversation with someone. So we encourage you to do that. I had sent the link also in the chat on the YouTube platform. All right, I wanted to just make mention of that. Ready now, Kiara?
Dr. Gallimore, can someone go before me, please? I don't know, but
okay,
it's not
all
loading.
Right. All right, that's fine. Okay, no problem, no problem. And
someone else can go ahead.
All right, so in terms of, just to mention, in terms of the holistic development program, the plan is to do that in the semester break, because this has been a stressful semester, and so we would want to just have some of those sessions during your break. So I'm going to move on to this section that we call 60 seconds of encouragement or 60 seconds of advice. And so I am going to start out with the persons who are student success coaches. That's what we call them. In essence, it's a nice fancy name to just describe persons who really care about students and who want to see students make progress in life. And so 3 of them are going to be sharing for a minute or so. And so I'll just ask Nikisha to just go, and then followed by, Dr. Stevenson to go, followed by Dr. Boyd, followed by Dr. Singh Wilmot. But before I move on to that, I just want to make one mention in terms of even Dr. Stevenson. So I remember when COVID was not keeping, and we were having a good time, going to exam rooms and writing exam papers. I remember there was one time we had a preliminary chemistry exam, and Dr. Stevenson realized that there's a student or maybe one or two students who needed a calculator. And Dr. Stevenson, she virtually ran from that room to get to the university bookshop to buy calculator. I think it was 2 calculators she bought for the students, and she was rushing because obviously you had an hour-long exam and the clock wasn't stopping for anybody, and to see that is just a demonstration of care and concern. And the student got the calculator at the end of the session because she needed a calculator. He or she needed a calculator. And so those are little things that one may see and not put much credence to, but I'm telling you, that spoke to me about the extent to which she cares about students. And that is the same about all of the persons on this platform. We really want to help you to grow and help you to move forward. And that's the purpose of this. All right, handing over to Dr. Stevenson.
Hi guys. That it's COVID time and it's been pretty stressful, and I've had to turn a lot of my lectures. After lectures, we have an hour where we're trying to figure out how do we go through, and people always ask me, Miss, what was your college experiences like? And as someone who is where I am, I'm a PhD, I'm a doctor, I went to some really good universities. It's easy to think that it was just, I woke up one day, I was really smart and everything just came to me because I was brilliant. It's not true. There was a lot of crying, there's a lot of wailing, there's a lot of turning to my sister, my mom, my dad for support. There was lack of finances. But what I can tell you is that if you really want to achieve something, you go after it, and you go after it with everything that you have. But you also have to acknowledge where you are. So for some of us, we went after this, I want to go to university, and I am here now, and I fall into a hole. It's not what I'm used to or was used to. It's not high school. The work is way more than I had before. I want to be amount, and I am here now. I have to do a lot more. So how do I get myself out of this hole? And that's something I keep hearing from students over and over and over again. What I will say to you at this stage is make a plan. This has been a hard year, it's been a hard semester with the whole COVID-19 unpredictability of everything. Once you make the plan, take action and make a realistic plan. So Mrs. Brown may have some good suggestions. So when you're going to study, for me, if I have work to do, I in 45-minute blocks. So I take 45 minutes, I set a clock, I turn off my phone, I focus on what I'm doing, and I just do that. After the 45 minutes is up, I go back and I'll take 5 minutes to breathe or walk around, get something to drink, something like that, and then I go back to it. After 2 or 3 of these sessions, I do something I like doing, right? I focus on my mind, that's the learning aspect. I focus on my body, so I'll exercise, I do yoga, I run, I'll do plants if I can get outside the house. And I also focus on the soul, things that make me happy and that will pull me out of places where if you feel very overwhelmed, you find those little things, whether it be looking at your nephew's face or playing with some kids or baking or doing something, but you find time for that within that plan that you make. And for those of you that are really, really in the hole, the good thing about COVID is that your lectures are recorded, your tutorials are recorded. Make a plan, execute and go after it. And even if it doesn't work out the way how you want it to, it's never too late. You can always pick yourself back up and then continue after all is said and done. So that's my 60 seconds. I think I went way over 60 seconds. All right, bye guys.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Dr. Boyd.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Gallimore, good to see you. Just a few tips to share with our students. Some of them you've heard before and you might hear them again. But first of all, recognize that you are now at the tertiary level, as Dr. Stevenson was saying. All right, you have arrived in a sense, but you still haven't arrived because you still need to progress through your degree as quickly as you can. A degree is designed for you for 3 years, okay? And that's the time you're going to try and work at your degree. First of all, recognize the value of this institution. It has been rated fairly highly by external agencies. We are among the top universities in the Latin America and Caribbean region. So you must feel proud to be a part of this institution. Once you're admitted, you're a part of the institution. Don't feel that you're an underdog. All right. The next thing is that throughout your courses, you will be overwhelmed. Okay. Like I teach a course at level 2, and we're just coming to an end this week. And there are cases where students were overwhelmed. And the thing about it is that when you're overwhelmed, you recognize that you have a challenge. Okay. And you are not the only person to have a challenge. Very often, other students, even adults, have challenges and they don't want to admit it. And so they keep beating themselves privately. You just need to recognize you have a challenge. It's not unnatural. And as a matter of fact, in overcoming challenges, you will grow. That's one of the ways in which we grow, to overcome challenges. So when you overcome the challenge to become a person with a BSc, you have overcome a challenge and you have grown from Cape to BSc level. Then you can grow to the MSc level or the MPhil, and then you can grow to the PhD. And then after that, you may become a professor. Who knows? All right. But just recognize that the possibilities are endless. Okay. Um, you try to find healthy ways to dissipate any stress that you may have. Okay. So, as you've heard before, exercise, healthy diet as far as possible. Okay. Um, Adequate rest. And I have to also underscore this because through my university career as an undergraduate, I saw several examples where people did an all nighter and then decided to have a nap in the morning and woke up after the exam was finished. They didn't even hear the alarm. That's how tired the body is. I was introduced to the effect of sleep from O levels. That's how old I am, decades ago. That the guy before me in the exam did an all nighter. It was a math exam, and at about half an hour during the exam, I saw him put his hand through his hair, rubbing his head, and then I hear him start cuss battle on them breath because he could not think. Okay, we had a student doing a project some years ago, and she spent 3 days in the library. She didn't go home. She didn't sleep, and she was able to present the project, the oral, but then she couldn't answer the questions because she just could not think. That's what sleeplessness will do to you. So it's not worth it to skimp on your sleep. Okay. Avoid worry at all costs. You will have challenges. You will have academic challenges. You will have financial challenges. Okay, but just work at it. If you are not registered, still go to your classes as far as possible. Get help from your friends to get the notes. Since you can't access the online, okay. Don't don't give up. Just keep going. And I have had students who have gone through the semester, still didn't get the money, so they could not do the exam, so they did the exam the next time around. That's better than sitting and waiting on the money and then you're too late to catch up with the course. All right. Um, Invest in a hobby as well. A hobby is a good thing to have, and in some cases, a hobby might be income generating, which will help your problems. Okay. Now, last thing I want to say is the academic strategy. How do you approach your work? Okay. First of all, you need to recognize your job is student for the next 3 years. Okay. That's your occupation. Just like how we are lecturers and we dare not miss a lecture, we dare not miss a tutorial, we dare not miss a lab because that's our job. You as a student, it is your job to be a student. So when people want to take you away from attending to your work and attend some party or so, especially COVID time here now, okay, you just have to remember that you are a student. Okay, preparation is key for lectures, labs, and tutorials. Okay. I advise students, if it works in the biological sciences, Winklet, you'll have to tell me if it works in chemistry, but you are given a course outline. use your course outline, forward read, so you know that your next lecture is going to be on orbital shells. Am I right, Winklet? All right, orbitals and so on. Okay, you're gonna read up on that from your text, or like nowadays, when I was doing undergrad, there was no internet, so I had to depend on books. But now you have so much information on the internet, so you can go and do your forward reading. So when you come to your lecture, it's a bit of a revision for you. It's not the first time you're hearing this stuff. Okay. And you're less likely to need to ask questions because you've already read it. So it's kind of coming back. Plus, if the lecture is wrong for some reason, you can pick it up. Okay. And say, sir, by the way, support how so and so and so. All right. Um, for your, and you do that for lectures and labs, for your tutorials. Many courses, some of the same questions that you discuss in tutorials is what you're going to face on the exam. It might be worded differently. So it makes sense to do the questions in tutorials. The next thing is that I tell students that there are no stupid questions in tutorials. There are no stupid questions in tutorials. Okay. The fact of the matter is, if you think the question is stupid, probably somebody else thinks the same way and is afraid to ask it. Ask the question in tutorial and we'll clear it up for you. That's our job. Only time you have stupid questions is when you never ask the question, and when the exam come now, that's the time you're thinking about the question. It's a stupid question, but you try and do your all the questions during the tutorial in consultation time, etc. Okay, attend all sessions as much as possible. You want, I mean, for example, you don't have to. Lectures are not mandatory as far as I know, but it will be a silly thing not to go to your lectures because you're paying for them anyway. So you need to go. And each day, if you can just read over what you've done for the day, don't swat, don't study, just read it over before you go to sleep so that while you sleep, it can play in your mind. And lastly, the attitude. Be able to laugh at yourself. Don't take life too seriously. Take it seriously, but not too seriously. I think Mrs. Williams Brown was telling us that you can't afford to take life too seriously, that you're going to end it or whatever if you feel disappointed. Laugh at yourself and leave room for making mistakes and learning from your mistakes. That's what a mature person does. Learn from their mistakes. Don't give up. All right. And remember, we are always here to help you. Even if we don't have a smile on our face, we are here to help you. And may you have a wonderful session in your exams and the rest of the year.
Thank you, thank you, thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're
Awesome.
welcome.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I heard somebody say in the question that Daniel was reading, it's easier said than done in the comments question section. It's easier said than done, as students said. And I want you guys to know that those of us who are speaking to you now have been there and have done that. And that's why it's important that you listen, even if something is telling you that these guys are just saying this because they have it made. So for me, in my first year at UWI, in the second year, on the first day of my second year, my father died. And when school was starting, I was at the hospital dealing with that, as many of you are dealing with all sorts of things. And so by the time, and life changed. Before that, I was a little girl in a white dress skipping through a flower garden. That was my life. And then my father, who was the breadwinner in the family, with his passing, things changed. And by the time I was final year at UWI, I was working 2 jobs and doing a double major in chem and applied chem. I was at Shell, and I was working at a commuting students lounge on campus. And so, unlike you, I had to miss my classes. And I remember Dr. Greenaway meeting me in the parking lot there one day and said, "You can't manage this. This is tough. Chem and applied chem, double major." And I told him, Dr. Greenaway, I have no choice. And of course, my lecturers supported me. I had no choice. But you know what I had? I had purpose. And I think if you guys can find your purpose. If it is your passion, if your purpose is your passion, it drives you. If your purpose is to be, you know, the first chemist in your family, whatever your purpose is, or even if you don't know what it is right now, just know that your name is on it. Whatever you're doing, your name is on it, and your reputation precedes you. People hear about it before they even meet you. So you got to do it well because your name is on it. And so I decided that I was going to do this and I have to do it. And I did what Sharon Williams Brown said. You know, I was in the moment, I was present and I was aware and I was doing it. I was observing the moment. So 7 a.m. until 7 a.m. the next morning. That's what I had to do with study. I can do that. I have the stamina for study, or maybe I had those years ago. But you gotta know yourself. If you're the kind of girl like Nikki, you know, Dr. Stevenson, she studies in short bursts. Use the tomato timer, the Pomodoro, Google it, set the time 25 minutes, and you study like that, fine. But I had to take my textbooks, my notes, because you know that kind of depth is important for good performance. And I will sit one place from 7 a.m. until 7 a.m. the next morning. I stopped only to eat some food, possibly didn't take a shower, I don't recall, but you were driven to do what you had to do. And at the end of that, not even thinking about it, remember the word, being present in the moment. The word is mindfulness, people. You look upon it, and meditation does help you, and exercise does help you to be in that moment. But finding your purpose also helps you to drive through those times and be in that moment and make the best of it. So I didn't think about the possibility of failing. That was not an option, and I didn't think about it. And when the time came to know, you know, what kind of degree you get, you know, somebody called me and told me, I wasn't even thinking about that. I did the best I could do in the moment. I put my best foot forward and I did what it took, right? And it came out, you know, I got my honors degree and I could go into postgrad. But guess what, guys? In the first year of my PhD, my mother died. And so there's a pandemic and all of these other things are happening to you. But guess what? Guess what? We're saying it, but we've done it. When my mother died, my world seemed like it was falling apart. What do you do? Because you have funding, you have to finish in a certain time, you want to finish with style. Yeah, you know, what do you do? Well, you know what I did? Again, I blocked it out. I didn't go home. I've got lots of brothers and sisters, 11 of them. And some of them said, you know, she's forgot about her mother. She don't talk about it. I will not talk about it for now because I have a mission. And the mission was her purpose in life. Yeah, she wanted that for me. And so I focused on that mission. And I got my PhD with honors, and, you know, the rest is history. The point is, you can do it too. Whatever is happening to you, there is a way. You call on those people, you call on that purpose, you call on God. You do what you have to do, and it will open up doors, because education opens up doors for you. I have one other thing, Dr. G. You gotta give me the chance to say this. Study must be worth it. Your study time. A lot of us are feeling stressed when an exam is announced, and we forget that we have been learning all semester. So you feel stressed if you have 2 exams in one day or 2 exams back to back, because you feel like you're starting from scratch, but you are not. And remember, you came to UWI too. You are among the brightest people in the world. You know, you're among a select few who have made it into university. You didn't buy your way here. You earned it. You know, you're that good. You were head girls and deputy head girls and head boys and student council and debating and schools challenge quiz. You are that. You are that awesome. And because you're in a bigger pool now of brilliant people, all the brilliant people, you know, we have students at UWI, I'm not saying the Caribbean, I'm saying the world, because we have students at UWI who are coming from other places in the world. And you are among those people. And of course, you know, you feel like you probably in a moment feel like, I was number one where I'm coming from. Here I am now. But guess what? You're still awesome because all of you who are there are that and you're brilliant. So you're not starting from scratch. You know some things, but now your study time must be worth it. And when you study, I say to my students and my son, you must you must read, understand, remember. That's basic. But then you reflect, and you reflect again. You feel it in your bones, I say to my students. You must connect with it, turn it inside out, upside down. So when the questions come in the exam, it can't phase you. You're ready for it. And in order for you to do that, guys, you've got to block out everybody whenever you're studying. If it is like me, you're doing the 7 a.m. till 7 a.m., or like Dr. Nikki, you're doing your 45 minutes, 25 minutes on the tomato timer. Whatever it is you're doing, make it worth it. Put the phone out of the room. If you check how many times we look on WhatsApp, and we don't even have nothing to say, we check somebody's status, we look at some status pics, or we just look at somebody's profile picture. In fact, the data showing that 144 minutes per day, each person, this is average now, so some more, some less. Like me, I'm on the less side. Dr. Gallimore, you might be on the more side, I don't know. But the average is 144 minutes per day per person on social media. That's 2.5 hours. That's a lot of time. If you check that up, if you're gonna live to say 72 and you started social media when you were 10, that's gonna be over 3 million minutes in your life that you spend on social media. That's about over 6 years. That's too much time. And what it does when you're studying and you've got a ping coming in every minute and you look on it, you see, is that you think you got it and you think you spent all this time studying and you didn't. It wasn't meaningful. So put the phone away. Don't respond to it until you've got that done. I've got to stop, and I would love to go on with you some more. I'll see you in classes. I'll see you around. But I know you guys can do it if you just remember that you're awesome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Singh Wilmot. Thank you. I mean, aspects of your story I didn't even remember, myself. Okay, we are going to go on to Mr. Math himself, Mr. Asaro. I know I'm not pronouncing it right, but Johnny, yes, go right ahead. And then followed by Dr. Gaynor, and then we'll have the students.
All right, so let's lift a few tips. Take a break if stress becomes too overwhelming, students. Temporarily distract yourself. Talk to somebody. Try to reach out to your lecturer if needs be. Practice positive self-talk. Remind yourself that there is an end in sight, right? It's normally 3 years, 4 years, maybe at max, thereabouts, all right? So it's coming to an end at some point. Learn to appreciate and enjoy life and the environment, the natural environment, the mountains, the hills, the greenery around your flowers, soak in the natural ambience, okay? That helps quite a lot. Employ a mood booster with it, dancing, listen to some music, running some jokes, when you're feeling down, resort to one of those mood boosters, okay? Reach out to other students who more than likely are going through the same challenge that you are going through and try to share the struggles and the difficulties, all right? Write on the things that you have to do. Seeing it on paper makes a big difference, okay? And it allows you to prioritize and make more informed decisions. In terms of mathematics and of course other subjects as well, you're doing your exams, start with easier questions first. All right, it's gonna build your confidence, it's gonna calm your nerves, diminish the anxiety. And that way, when you do the easy questions first, you're putting some money in the bank and it sets the tone for the rest of the examination. In terms of math, again, look at your math book every day. I know the semester is coming to an end, but it's not too late. The exams are in front of you. So don't avoid it. Look at it every single day. Get as familiar as you can with the material. Have a brave attitude toward mathematics. Exploit your lecturers and tutors in terms of the amount of help that you can get from them or extract from them. And try to understand the concepts and the materials rather than rely too much on memorization, as important as that is, okay? All right, that's it for me, and I wish you all the best in your upcoming exams. I try to stick to the 60 seconds that I've been allotted. Hope I did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John, because the rest of us didn't.
All right, I'll give you my minutes, okay?
Love you.
No problem.
We know, I mean, Johnny is here on the campus more than he isn't, you know. I mean, I have to ask him if he have any policeman friend, because when curfew come and gone, you know, he's still here. So he knows about the grind. He knows about the grind. Yes, Dr. Gaynor, you're on.
All right, good evening all. Now, I have 3 suggestions that I try to do in my life to make things a little easier that I think you can consider trying. Now, the first one is that I try to start things early. Now, let's for argument's sake, I have an assignment or a contract and I need to deliver it in 3 weeks. Now, my idea of starting early is that I should at least read through the specs within the first day or 2. Now, I don't need to start the work, right? I don't need to start work, but I just want to at least look at what's needed just so that I have an idea of what's happening. So let's just draw an example. Let's say if you do that, and I mean, it goes straight through what you hear about reading over notes, not necessarily studying, just read over your notes. Let's say you read over your notes and you decide to go play some football to de-stress. And you get the ball and you make a rock and half the field gone and realize, oh, half my problems are gone. That's why the binary heap is so effective. Granted, that might not be the exact thing that might happen, but just to say, our mind actually makes connections once we get ourselves in the mood to make the connection. So start early and get in the mood. So the second suggestion I have is that if I have the option, and you've heard this very recently, but I'm not going to take it out, so just to let you know that it makes sense. If I have the option, I will always do the easier things first. And that, I remember someone coaching me for UWI exams, and they always said, if you have the choice, do the easiest questions first. And it makes sense, because if I don't get to the hard questions, at least I've done something, right? The third suggestion is to remember to breathe. And what I mean by that is that it's very important that every now and again, you take a break and you look at the big picture. And I do that to make sure that I'm going in the right direction. And if I think I may not be moving where I should be moving, at least I have the option to ask for help from the right people, right? Not everybody will give you useful help. And if help is not available, I know how to pace myself until I can get where I'm going. So that's what I have.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Really want to thank all of you who have come on the platform, and there's several persons who, of course, didn't speak. Dr. Coley, we know he's an excellent student-friendly lecturer, and there's so many others, you know, so take advantage of that. So we're going to move on to get some advice from the student reps. We're going to start with Maya Buchanan-Smith, and then Daniel will come in. Yeah, they spoke about, you know, looking at people's statuses. From looking at someone's status, I think it was you recently celebrated a birthday, is that correct?
Me, yes, I recently celebrated.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Good night, students. Good night, members of administration. I hope you guys are hearing me clearly. So they asked me to give you 60 seconds of advice, and I guess I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. So first and foremost is that you are a student, you're also a human being, and you are not a robot. That being said, there are things that fundamentally every human being needs. These things include food, sleep, rest, peace of mind, right? And if you are not naturally getting these things, you need to make a way or find a way to get these things, right? I think we have this mentality as students, and I really want us to get rid of this feeling where you feel as though it's between your mental health and schoolwork. I really want you to throw that away, because if you do not have good mental health, you won't be able to properly do the schoolwork. You have to find a way to somehow balance it. And I know that it can be hard to balance it when you feel as though things are just consistently being thrown at you. Sometimes the semester is going by so fast and you're like, whoa, yesterday was week 1, it's week 11. How did that happen? Oh my gosh, I have 5 assignments due tomorrow. What am I gonna do? I know it can feel very pressuring on you sometimes, But what I want to ask you guys to do, right, is to take things one step at a time. So instead of focusing on your long to-do list and saying, okay, I have 5 things, right, I want to pinpoint what are the top three things and what marks are they worth, right? Because if you have 5 assignments and 3 of them are worth 1%, come on, guys, let's do a little bit of math. You're going to have to focus on the ones that are worth more and the ones that are going to reap the most reward in the shortest amount of time. So focus more on what is going to give you the greater reward. And then you need to focus on that thing alone, right? So if you're gonna do chemistry, you're focusing on chemistry. You're not thinking about the life sciences assignment that's due tomorrow. You're not thinking about the other, no, you're focusing on chemistry. And you're gonna do chemistry well, finish it, look over it and say, okay, this is something I can do, I can submit, I can get a good grade on it, and then you move on to your next assignment and you continue doing that, right? Take short breaks in between, and every time you take a short break, it's just for you to recuperate. So don't look on any work, because at that time in your short break, you are not doing any work. You're a regular person sitting down, enjoying yourself, listening to the breeze outside, the birds chirping, the wind in your hair, whatever works for you, right? And the last thing that I wanted to do was to share with you guys that there are places and resources that you can always reach out to if your problem is more than just 5 seconds of sadness. The reality is that mental health is something that is very important for every single human being on this earth, right? Whether you have a mental disorder or you do not have a mental disorder, it's very important for you to maintain. And if you are genuinely struggling and there is too much coming on you and you say, yo, I can't deal with this, that's okay. That's normal. And you can reach out to somebody and get help and find out how you can get ways. There's the health center. There is the Ministry of Health hotline as well. There is Equality JA also has a hotline, and you can call them and get help and get advice on what to do. Because as I said at the beginning of this speech, you are first and foremost a human being, and you do have limitations. I'm sorry to tell you, but every single person has limitations, and you have to appeal to them and know what your strengths are and know what your weaknesses are and work on both of them equally. And that way you can become a well-rounded individual, and you can do the exams and you can live your life. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Maya. Yes, Anil, you're on.
Hi, good night, good evening. So I kind of want to disagree with what Maya is saying. Like, it's easier said than done, focusing on one assignment at a time. But when it's a case where you have multiple assignments due at the same time, and it's not like you were procrastinating, because I know me personally, I like to believe I structure my time very well and I allocate the right amount of time to stuff, but then stuff get piled up. Like all the tidbits you guys are saying from before, very helpful in the first part of the semester where, you don't have any assignments to do. But as it comes to the end of the semester, where teaching ends and then all the lecturers have to drop in the assignments and everything needs to be done, it becomes a bit harder to balance. So I'm not sure if I can give admin or the lecturers advice, but I know for math it's kind of not the case because things don't make sense until November. But for the other courses, like my other counterparts, is there a way that we can stretch out the assignments so that at the end of the semester everything don't just pack up on you? And then that was my only suggestion. And then the other thing, I know a lot of students are complaining about not being able to go back in exams, and quite a number of you mentioned tackling the easier questions first, but that's not possible if we can't go back. So like, it's like to do what's given to you at the time, and then that's send up your anxiety and stress. But all in all, I agree with everything that was said, and I do especially agree with the part that yes, exams might be back to back, but you have been learning all semester. However, not because you've been learning all semester mean that we have to do 2 core exams back to back. That's like a lot. So yes, the onus is also on the students to ensure that we are doing what's necessary and, doing our best. But I believe that admin and our lecturers can also try and facilitate us as best as possible, because you guys know the core exams that we're doing. And yeah, we've been learning all semester, but school hard. Like school is very hard. I don't want to sugarcoat it. School is very hard, and we're trying our best given the circumstances. And online learning is a new thing for us, and it's new for the lecturers. So we're all just trying to figure it out. So I guess a little more accommodation would be lovely. I think I rambled on, but I'm not going to say anything else. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
No problem, no problem. Thank you so much. And at this time, before I go to Kiara, I'm just going to go to Dr. James Williamson to just say a word. Dr. James Williamson. Okay, all right.
I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to put my video on. Good evening, everyone. I've been trying to keep abreast with everything. Unfortunately, I have a small child who is preventing me from participating. I am. So guys, this is just an example that you're not the only one who has all of these intervening activities that sort of distracts you from, you know, what your true goal is. But what we have to do is improvise, like I'm improvising at the moment, and hold fast for some of what Dr. Raymond and the others have said. And it's good to have a cheering team. It's good to have people behind you, your family, your friends, who will pull you on and cheer you on and keep you moving and help you to keep your eyes on the target. I know many of you have been experiencing issues with your clashes and so on, but I think how, I can't remember her name, Kiara, how she started out by saying that this is not your first rodeo, basically. This is not the first time you're doing exams. And so we're not happy that you're stressed. We're not happy that you have clashes, and we're not happy that you have more than one exam on the same day. Mommy, I'm talking. We're not happy that you have more than one exams on the same day, but we're rooting for you, and we're praying hard and praying strong. I was in my car today and I made special prayers for all of our students in FST, and by extension, all the students in the university. If I could have called you out by name, I would have. And I want to let you know that we are rooting for you, and we know that you will do well.
Amen. Amen, amen, amen. Thank you so much, Dr. James Williamson. Okay, and so we had some challenges before the games, but we're gonna hand right over to Kiara at this time.
Hello. Okay, so yes, I had a hiccup in the road and I'm ready to go again. So,
what is it about? All right.
All right, so today's activity is going to be very interesting. We are going to do Jamaican proverbs, you know, Yardie style original game. So I encourage you all to give your answers in the chat and participate. See what you know, yeah? Okay, so press. One Coca. I'm sure we all hear this one plenty of times. So, what's the answer to this proverb? Anyone wants to give it a try?
Saying that my chat is disabled, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yes, full basket. I'm seeing the comments in the YouTube section. Yes, guys, brilliant people. All right. So the next one, what sweet nanny goat? I'm sure if I have grandparents, them love use this. My grandmother love use this.
Kiara, you're starting with the easy ones first, so, I see.
What sweet nanny goat? Yes, the easy ones first, you know.
Can we say it out loud?
Check the light.
Oh, it's private. Sorry.
No one knows this one?
Chicken Mary, Chicken Hawk, something like that.
No, hot denier.
No. Hot denier, yes. Yes, thank you.
It could go lecturers versus students, you know, Kiara.
Oh my. Fire de almost must steal. Come on, what is it? Complete it.
Think a cool breeze.
All
Got a
right,
cool
sir.
breeze.
All right.
Always suggest to us.
All right. Mature con. People love use this one. Mature con.
I'm in a corner for.
All right. There we go. Okay. Sorry for Marga dog.
Them back after you.
Turn around, bite you. They call me American.
Yes, them turn around, bite you. All right. We always hear this one. Learn for creep. Learn for creep. Come on, people. I know you know this. Yes, before you walk. I see it. Thank you. So we have this culture, you know, like we love to say out here. So you see I'm blind. What else? See I'm blind.
Giving the students a chance, man. Let's give them a chance.
Oh, okay.
See, I'm blind,
Yes.
here, and deaf.
I seen it in the comments. Here and deaf, definitely. All
Push
right.
them soft, Kiara. Soft, soft.
Exactly.
Soft. All right, man. Just cool, man. We're getting there. So, Dopino.
Dopino.
What Dopino for them? Yes, for frightened. Thank you. Comments are going up. All right. Now, let's see if this one y'all can get. Very good. Blood follow.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Scratch heads.
Blood follow. Shortcut.
No. This is not the shortcut one. Wrong proverb. Okay.
Chatting.
Okay. Blood follow vein. Vein is the answer. Okay.
Oh. I don't remember hearing. I don't know that one.
FST, Johnny. FST business,
Yeah.
and you don't know that.
Time longer than. Oh wait, I already
That's
add
easy,
I add a piece to it. Okay, so time longer than.
That's too easy.
That's too easy.
I thought
So
she
what
was stepping up.
Yeah.
So what answer?
Rope. Time longer than rope, man.
You know when you're setting a question and you go recall and then you go to higher order mental processes.
Exactly.
Kiara, you gone back.
No man. Come on, man. Okay. And everything good for eat? I don't know this one.
Of course you do.
The students don't know this one. Someone say it's good for talk. Yes, thank you very much. All right. So, cockroach now?
No.
Uh-oh.
Let's see who know this one.
Cockroach no fly a day.
No, sir. Apparently, you don't live in Jamaica.
Fly at all.
Business in a foul fight.
Oh,
yes.
that's the police and
Yes, sir. That's
wait, how the young
check.
people doing? How the younger gen doing over there?
They didn't get this one right.
They got it.
One right. All right. Long run.
Easy, man. Too easy.
Gone soft again, Johnny.
Yeah, too easy.
Listen, the students must get this one. Come on, students. Don't let me down. Long run. Yes, short catch. Somebody gets it.
I'm so proud of my students here.
All right. Want all?
No, man. That one too easy.
Easy again.
Come on. Too soft.
Listen. Oh, no might know, you know, but the students are trying.
All right. So we would have heard it many, many times.
Want all? Yes, lose all. Let's go, students. Okay. All right. Good friend. Complete this statement.
Give you all of them money.
What? I like to meet your friends. Good friend. Yes, better than pocket money. Let's go.
How many people believe it? How many people believe it?
You know, that's a good question, you know. Empty barrels. Come on. We heard this in primary school and basic school. Come on. We should know this one.
This must be why many of our students don't really talk too much in lectures, you know?
It means they used to tell us this all the time.
Because they are not empty barrels. They are
all right.
not,
Students get it. Students, yes. Makes the most noise. All right. Okay. Yes. Your parents must tell it on one ear. Dance a yard. Come on, students. Come on. You're doing so nice. Don't let the teachers get this one.
Okay, Theodore is
Yes,
reminding us that the
before you
YouTube
dance
team
abroad. Okay. All right. So everyone should know this one. New broom sweep clean. Come on, students. Yes, but old broom know the corner. Amen. All right. Next question. The older the moon, my grandmother loved to use this one. So the older the moon.
I don't know this one.
Me finally you know something.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Come on, students. Show the teachers. Yes, the brighter it shine. Oh,
Brighter it shine. Yes, I know it.
Students, brilliant, man. Brilliant.
Oh, they are awesome. They are so awesome.
Well, this one is, you know.
Yes.
Puss and dog.
Sometimes I'm a friend.
What? Oh, gee. Yes, students got it. Now have the same luck. All right. Okay, let's see how many persons know this. Rockstone and River Bottom. Teachers don't know this one either.
I know it. I don't remember.
I'd have to wing this one here. I don't know this one.
Rockstone and River Bottom. Collects a lot of moss.
Not this one. Student got it. And I know sun hot. I would like to know where HB comes from, you know, because you know every proverb.
Maybe mom and dad and grandma and grandpa over there on their team.
Help him, right?
I'm saying. See that for me? Yes. What is complete this one?
Tomorrow for you.
Sir, man.
This is one that we must all digest and feel.
Yes, today for me, tomorrow for you. All right.
Everybody has their day.
Everybody,
exactly. Every child is supposed to hear this one. Audience picnic. What me to audience picnic now? Come on.
And clean out them ears.
Come on, students. Answer this one. Audience picnic. No, not hard to learn. The next one.
Audience picnic near Rockstone.
All right, then another one there.
And Theodore says have to feel for feel.
All right, I know that one, but that's one of the response. But the one I was looking for is feel the most pain. That is the one I know. All right. So, next one. Everyone, Matan. Students can relate to this one. We all can relate to this one.
I don't know this one.
I know that one.
Everyone my turn. Yes, people.
No.
Okay.
We all know this one.
Okay.
I want students, don't let me down. Answer this one.
Dr. Coley, do you know this one?
Know this one. Makajukni.
Somebody me too. Everyone my turn, Makajuk me.
Yes. I do know it.
Yeah.
All right. So, and this one, I'm closing with a nice one for the students. Please remember this one, you know, famous one that we all should commit to memory. So early bird, come on. What does the early bird do? Yes, catches the most worm.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
That was good, girl.
Thank you so much, Kiara. So we do have a couple of tokens. I'm not sure how we're gonna work that show. Kiara, maybe what you can do for me is go back in the chat and see who are the persons that responded the most. And
Johnny and Marvin.
Miss students.
Yeah, and so you can have them send contact information so they can be given a little token as they prepare for their exams. You know, we call it an exam. Let me see what I did call it. Exams/energy kit that would be of some benefit to them as they continue to prepare for their exams. And so, you know, we're a little over the time that we had planned, but really I want to thank everybody for being online. Thank you so much for pouring into the lives of our students. The truth of the matter is we want to see you succeed. We want to see you do the best that you can, but we also need to recognize that failure, when come in the mix, you know, on the road to success, you're going to get some bumps, you're going to pass through some failures. I mean, Ajani is here. The one course I failed at this university was a maths course, the one course, you know? And so that was just how life was, you know? I never even tell my father, I say I failed the course, but you know, it worked out, praise the Lord. You know, but at the end of the day, we're on the same team, guys. We're on the same team. Let us see how best we can make things work so that you will be proud of yourselves and proud of the contribution that you're making to the world. All right. And so with that being said, I just want to thank everybody for coming on. And I know that students will watch the recording as time goes by. So bless you. Have yourself a wonderful evening and all the best for your exams. All right. Bye.
Dr. G, can we say thank you to you for organizing this? We should do it again at the beginning of the term so we can get them on the right track. Yeah?
Right. Awesome.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, man.
Great job, Doctor.
Thank you, Theodore, for your assistance. All right.
Mm-hmm.